taking my arms, taking my legs. Oh, good day, ladies and gentlemen. While the Nintendo 64 was clearly the superior console of the late 90s, sadly, the hated PlayStation outsold it by millions. Now, since the console war has long since ended, I've been giving the old PlayStation a chance. And one game that was remarkably good is the rather unimaginatively named 1.
1 was developed by Visual Concepts and published by ACA Games in 1997, almost 30 goddamn years ago. Now this would be the very first PlayStation game that I would ever see. And for many years, that TV commercial that I saw back in the 90s would just kind of rattle around in my brain, and I'd often wonder, what the hell was that game anyway? One day I was talking to my good friend Raynick, and he was able to figure out from my half-remembered description that that game was 1. 1, despite its terse title, is a third-person run-and-gun game. Now this is kind of similar to a third-person shooter, but unlike in a third-person shooter, the camera moves as you run through a level. The developers were trying to fully transition the then popular side-scroller into full 3D, and I would say they most assuredly mostly succeeded. In the game, the camera can often be your biggest enemy. The gun arm is your primary offensive weapon, but you can also kick the crap out of enemies, and you can pick up limited use guns, such as a shotgun, a Flammenwerfer, and a homing missile launcher. As you kill enemies and destroy level architecture, you build up what is called rage. The more rage you got, the more health you get, and more damage your gun arm does. And shooting gameplay is extremely chaotic because there's no aiming. This is 97. Aiming was still the fever dream of a madman. Here, you just hold down the fire button and move all around and hope you hit something. Then you got the boss fights, and unlike in other games, you don't just shoot it till it dies. Instead, you have to figure out how to kill it. And what you mainly do is just find a bit of the environment to shoot, and then that will drop on the boss. If you're not ready to have to figure out how to do this, you can find yourself struggling how to damage the bastard. Yeah, that's gonna get my rage up. Figuring it out is not that hard, but some bosses might need a walkthrough to fully beat. And as always, save states are your friend. This is a game from the late 90s, so there's gonna be a lot of platforming in addition to fighting all the enemies. Remember when I said that camera was your enemy? Well, trying to jump from platform to platform is gonna be really annoying. And when you fall, you lose all your health, and you're gonna lose a life, because of course we've got the live system. Despite that, you do have saves, and you even get passwords for broke-ass gamers. And believe me, you're gonna need to be reloading this game a lot, because this game is balls to the wall hard. Back in the 90s, we expected way more from gamers. Graphically, this game is amazing. Look at how bloody detailed everything is. This really showed what the PlayStation was capable of, and man, it was worth the wait to bloody well play. Sound is good, the gun arm sounds powerful, and the game's voice clips, limited though they are decently acted. And as you increase your gun arm's power, you have a sexy female voice tell you how how powerful you are. The most notable sound in the game is the heartbeat sound of your arm power, and it's a great auditory choice and really makes the game a nail-biting affair when your gun arm is going nuts and you're on your last life and an entire army is out for your blood. Music for 1 is pretty good, although it's going to be a little hard to hear over all the chaos. Story for the game is there, but it pretty much takes a backseat to the gameplay. I guess the devs figured you would just skip it and get to blasting. The game starts up with someone saying they made a mistake, and then it cuts to gun arm dude being chased by the popo. Oh no, what'd he do? The game never tells us. I'm gonna guess he booed the president or something, or he stole his gun arm, or whatever. The game is set in a cyberpunk dystopia, and you gotta fight the cyber police, I guess. The game is never really clear on what you're doing or why, you just show up and start blasting. And it's not until the final cutscene that we get some story. The guy, John Kane, tells you his name, and says he's gotta go rescue a girl, and that you are fighting some force. It really ultimately doesn't matter, and sadly, we never got to rescue the girl because this game never got a sequel. I can kind of see why. There's no memorable characters, and the game was rock hard, and thus it probably got lost in the shuffle of more memorable 90s games.
While the game may be obscure now, and while it's not that memorable, it is still definitely a hidden gem. If you've never heard of one, or like me, it's just been buzzing around in your brain since the 90s, give this game a play, as it is certainly an enjoyable experience. And so, I am General Lotz, wishing you good Resident Evil 1, and much better Resident Evil 2 on the N64, or whatever makes you happy.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and please consider leaving a like or a comment, as the algorithm desires your soul. And I want to thank all those fans who have supported this channel, both past and present.